The princess in disguise. The sun had dipped behind the distant hills, casting a warm, amber glow across the grand dining hall of the royal palace. Princess Serena, a 15-year-old girl with raven-black hair and eyes that held the depth of the night sky, sat across from her mother, Queen Alara, in the grandest of chairs. The table was laden with rich foods, roasted pheasant, vegetables glazed with honey, and decadent pastries. Yet, despite the abundance before her, Serena's thoughts wandered elsewhere. "Mother," she began softly, her voice delicate yet filled with a rare curiosity. "How do the people of the village think about us?" Queen Alara smiled, setting her goblet of wine down. Her eyes twinkled with affection as she answered, "Oh, my dear, they adore us. Your father, the king, is the best ruler anyone could ask for. The villagers are always so grateful for his wisdom and fairness. They often come to the palace gates, offering their thanks for the peace and prosperity he has brought them." Serena nodded thoughtfully, but felt a strange tightening in her chest. She had heard these kinds of words all her life. How kind her father was, how generous, how wise. But something about the way her mother said it, with such certainty, made her question if that was truly how things were. Was it only the elite who saw the king in such glowing terms? What about the people who lived in the shadows of the palace, the ones whose voices rarely reached her ears? The dinner continued, but Serena could hardly focus on the conversation. Her mind raced with questions she hadn't thought to ask before. What did the people in the village really think of her father? Did they admire him as much as her mother claimed? Were they truly content with the way things were, or were there things they suffered in silence? That night, as Serena lay in bed, the weight of her thoughts refused to let her sleep. The flickering candle on her nightstand seemed to echo her restless mind. She could hear the faint sounds of the night, hooves of guards patrolling the outer wall, the occasional bark of a dog from the village below, but it all felt distant, separate from the life she knew within the palace's high stone walls. Finally, an idea came to her, as clear as the moonlight outside her window. The next morning, before the sun had fully risen, Serena slipped from her chamber with only a cloak to hide her identity. She had devised a plan. Disguised as a simple villager, she would venture into the heart of the village to hear firsthand what people truly thought of her father, of the kingdom, and of their lives. Serena enlisted the help of a few trusted palace servants. One, a young maid named Lyra, offered her a simple linen dress and a bonnet to obscure her royal features. Another, a stable boy named Kieran, gave her the use of a horse with a soft, brown coat, unassuming, unremarkable. She tied her hair back and hid her crown beneath the layers of cloth. With a final glance at the looming palace behind her, Serena took a deep breath and rode out toward the village. As she entered the village, the first thing she noticed was how quiet it felt. The houses, though charming, looked worn. The wooden fences were chipped, and the roads were cobbled with uneven stones. There was no lavishness here, no grandeur. The villagers bustled around the marketplace, selling wares, haggling, and gossiping, but there was a sense of unease beneath the chatter, a quiet discomfort that Serena couldn't ignore. She approached a woman standing near a well, her hands rough from years of labor. Serena smiled at her, attempting to blend in. "Good morning," Serena said softly. "How is the day treating you?" The woman looked up, surprised at the stranger's presence, but then gave a hesitant smile. "Oh, it's a hard day as always, miss. No different from the rest. The crops are struggling this season, and the taxes, they never seem to stop rising. But we get by. The king, bless his heart, he does his best. He's a good man." Serena nodded, but she felt a knot tighten in her chest. "Does the king help with the taxes?" she asked, testing the waters. The woman's face clouded, and she shook her head. "Not so much. We've heard he's been helping the merchants in the city more than us. But I suppose that's just how things are. He's busy after all." Serena lingered, offering a few more words before moving on. The woman's response weighed heavily on her mind. She had expected gratitude, but not so much resignation. Next, Serena approached a young man working outside a blacksmith shop. His muscles were defined from years of forging iron, and his brow glistened with sweat. She asked him the same question. "How's the day for you, good sir?" The blacksmith looked up and wiped his forehead, letting out a short, dry laugh. Another one like the others. Too many mouths to feed, too few coins to spare. It's tough, girl. The king might be the best ruler, but I wish he'd focus a little more on his people instead of the fancy parties he holds in the palace. Serena's heart sank. Do you think he knows how tough it is for you? He's got a whole palace to look after. Doesn't know what it's like out here, the blacksmith said bluntly. I've been working this forge for years. The king can only help so much, I suppose. As the day wore on, Serena spoke to more villagers, an elderly couple sitting outside their small cottage, a merchant trying to sell her some woven scarves, even children playing near the edge of the marketplace. And over again, Serena heard the same message, gratitude for the king, but an overwhelming sense of neglect. There was no malice in their voices, but the strain was evident. They weren't angry with the king, but they were quietly suffering. One older woman, her face weathered by time, said it most poignantly. The king does his best, child, but he cannot always see the cracks. We've worked these lands for generations, and we've never asked for much. But sometimes, it feels like we're invisible. Serena felt a pang of guilt in her chest. How had she not known this? How had her father, her beloved father, missed the pain that ran just beneath the surface of the villagers' smiles? When evening fell, Serena made her way back to the palace. Her mind was heavy, and her heart was even heavier. She had learned things she hadn't expected, and now she had to confront her father. The palace doors creaked open, and Serena walked into the great hall where her father, King Aldrich, sat at his usual place at the head of the table. His golden crown shimmered in the torchlight, and his regal figure filled the room with an aura of authority. He looked up as she entered. "Serena," he said warmly, rising to greet her. "Where have you been, my child?" Serena hesitated. This was harder than she had imagined. She stood tall and spoke, her voice firm yet tinged with emotion. "Father, I need to talk to you about something important." King Aldrich looked at her with concern. "Of course, my dear. What's on your mind?" Serena took a deep breath. "I spent the day in the village." The king's brows furrowed in surprise. "In the village? But you know it's not safe." "I went in disguise, father. I wanted to see what the people truly think of you. Of us." King Aldrich's expression softened, his lips curving into a smile. "You want to see how the people live? That's brave, Serena." Serena hesitated. "But it's not all good, father. The people, they're struggling. They work so hard, and yet they barely get by. The taxes are too high, the crops are failing, and they feel like their voices aren't being heard. You do your best, I know that, but they don't always feel that. They don't feel seen. They feel invisible." There was a long silence. The king's expression remained unreadable, but Serena saw the flicker of something in his eyes, regret, perhaps, or guilt. Finally, he spoke. "My dear, I had no idea. I've been so focused on the kingdom as a whole, on the merchants and the nobility, that I forgot to listen to those who need help the most. You've opened my eyes, Serena." She felt a weight lift off her chest. "I just thought you should know." The king stood, walked over to his daughter, and placed a hand on her shoulder. "You've done something many grown men would never have the courage to do. Thank you for your honesty, Serena." He turned to one of his advisors, who had been standing in the shadows, awaiting instructions. "We will review the taxes immediately. I will speak with the village leaders and find a way to ease their burdens. You're right. We must make sure no one is left behind." Serena smiled, feeling a sense of peace settle over her. "Thank you, father." The king smiled back, his eyes filled with pride. "You've taught me something today, princess. Sometimes, the greatest leaders aren't the ones who make decisions from their thrones, but the ones who listen to the hearts of their people."